Hello beautiful ones, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Leisha and I have been documenting my leveling up journey. I'm working on becoming more affluent and elegant as a woman. So if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notifications bell so that you never miss a video. I also invite you to follow me on Instagram at Leisha Leveling Up. You will have to send me a request because that is a private account, just so I can keep things a little bit more secure there. But that is where I typically take questions, and I recently received many questions after I announced that I had a promotion at my job. So I'll share as much as I can without getting too personal here on YouTube. I will add some of the more juicy answers to your questions over on Instagram. So there will be a bonus video there answering some of these questions that are a little bit more personal and I want to give you some more detail about, because I think that it will be not only good for me to just document where I am right now with career and income levels and that sort of thing, but also just to help you out and maybe inspire and motivate you. So let's go ahead and get started now with the first question. I've actually received this question a lot from several of you, and that is, how do you bring feminine energy to work? What has worked for me in the past in the workplace, that sort of thing. So to answer that question, I would say that one of the best ways I think that you can bring your feminine energy and cultivate that in the workplace is by your personal appearance and your grooming. So perhaps putting on a dress that's a little bit more dressed up than you typically would. I know for me, last year and the year before that especially, I was wearing a lot of actually my joggers and hoodies working in a tech company that is somewhat acceptable most days. When I had meetings with some of the leadership, I would dress a little bit nicer, maybe put on a pair of dress pants or a nicer pair of jeans. So now when we go back to the office, I do plan on wearing more dresses, wearing some heels, something besides sandals or tennis shoes. And so that's one way that you can cultivate feminine energy. I really encourage you not to be afraid of this. I know just for me, with dressing a little bit nicer and wearing more makeup on my Zoom calls, I actually started receiving a lot of compliments from my colleagues. I really do feel like, the way that you present yourself and the way that you look, if you try to enhance your already natural and beautiful features and put yourself in a position to appear presentable and professional, then it actually does go a long way. I think it can be scary at first, depending on your work environment, to put a little bit more makeup on than usual, do your hair a little bit more than you usually would, because you may be concerned about comments that you may get, especially from some of your male colleagues. But I do believe that as long as you're dressed in more of a modest way and you're not bringing more of the sexy vibe to your outfit and your hair and makeup, then I do think that it, again, will make you feel much more feminine and therefore cultivate your feminine energy at work. Another thing that has worked for me is working on my ability to speak clearly and to be more articulate. And last year, I actually participated in a speaker certification that my employer offers. There is another program out there that I would recommend called Toastmasters. If you have not heard of that, they have usually local meetups and local courses through Toastmasters that you can look into participating in. But that is essentially how I would practice my speech. Actually recording myself making YouTube videos each week has helped me immensely with my ability to speak and to be more articulate. I do think that this is another way to cultivate your feminine energy. It does take very clear communication in order to be nurturing and to be able to use your creative side. And that may not seem as straightforward, but the way that you communicate in more of a softer and lighter and clearer manner is going to help you to feel more feminine and gain that ability to be that nurturer, maybe on a project, or if you are a leader on a team, you want to be able to nurture your team and to get them to grow. I think growth is one of the things that we often look at in a professional setting as being productive, and it's a really nice way to show that we are able to contribute to the value of the company. So those are just a few things that have worked for me. If you have any other tips of things that have worked for you, of course, please share those in the comments. Now, here's the second question that I wanted to cover on today's video, and that is how to motivate yourself if you're looking to switch companies or make a career shift. For me, it's very motivating when I think about my potential being wasted, and if there is a point where I feel like I'm not reaching my full potential in a position, or I am not able to move past a certain position in my current company, then that's when I think it's very motivating, and I feel very motivated to look into other opportunities. I always have a mindset of, the best is yet to come. And so I don't let my fear of the unknown, or I try not to let my fear of the unknown keep me from being motivated to make a change. And I think that quite often, we see a lot of our colleagues happy to stay where they are and comfortable with where they're at. And if that's you, that's great. But if you're on a leveling up journey, I don't think you're here asking this question wanting to stay in the same position for very long. So while that may be for some people, for me and for us, it's probably not the case. So think about the potential that you might be wasting, or the income you may be missing out on if the company that you're currently at is keeping you comfortable, but that you have more to live up to and more that you want to do that will be very fulfilling. You might feel more motivated if you think about what is the most fulfilling aspect of your career. Are you fulfilled where you're at now, or are there some things that you've always wanted to do and wanted to pursue that would actually fulfill you more? And so again, it's not that you're being ungrateful for where you are. It's not that you're wanting to stay where you're at because you don't think that you're capable. It's just maybe there are some opportunities that you need to pursue that would be more fulfilling. To deal with fear when you're trying to switch careers or switch companies, I think that it's really important to put a plan into place. So, there are some ways that you can plan to make a move, make a switch, whether that's you need to skill up or you need to network a little bit to make sure that you can secure something in another company that you're looking to move to. Those are some things that might make you feel a little bit more motivated, knowing that you have the support up underneath you to keep moving forward. The third question that I received and I wanted to cover is a little bit, it's not necessarily related to the income and the career side of things, but yet it is. What is my daily routine? And I wanted to let you know that I am going to be sharing that in a video soon. There are a lot of things that I could go into detail on. Just in a nutshell though, there's a lot that I will do to work on my mindset. And so that's something that if you're not including in your daily routine, you need to sit down and do some mindset work. And then I also include exercise almost every single day. That's very, very important for me. So I'll get more into detail in a future video, actually in a couple of weeks, and I will share my daily routine with you so that you can get some ideas for yours. The fourth question that I received from you was, what are some tips for university students who are currently job searching? So if you're a recent grad, I think that it is really important to start out by looking for internships. If you did not have an internship while you were in school, then you need to go and get an internship, because unfortunately, something that you may be learning by now is, depending on your degree and depending on the school that you went to, a lot of companies right now are looking for you to have a little bit of work experience already. So, for me, unfortunately, I did not do an internship while I was in school. I should have. I worked in a lab and I had a degree, I actually had 2 degrees that I was working on that were completely different from what I'm doing now. However, I actually started out my career that I have now by doing an internship, and I was working other things on the side to make ends meet and to contribute my income to our household. But the internship was what got my foot in the door. So when you get that internship, especially if it's at a company that you're really interested in working for full time, you really should make sure that you bring your A game every single day. Make sure you're taking initiative if you get those opportunities, and you will want to be able to show your value as much as possible. From there, you have an increased chance of there being maybe a full-time offer extended to you, or a wonderful recommendation letter that one of your colleagues or maybe your manager can write for you for a future position or program that you're enrolling in, things like that. Another tip that I would share, of course, is networking. So let's say that you did not do an internship, you're trying to get your foot in the door somewhere for the first time. Networking is a really, really big deal if you're looking to go, and even if you're starting a business, but if you're looking for a career and you're looking to be successful, especially working towards a higher paid position, it's really, really important to know the right people. I looked back on my past jobs and even the career that I have now, and it's really all thanks to networking and knowing the right people and putting my best foot forward as far as my ability to show what skills and experience I could bring to the table, not necessarily how I looked or any of that. So if you are looking to start networking, find opportunities in your city or online opportunities. Online opportunities are really popping up. So you may want to make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date, make sure you are looking great on LinkedIn, and you'll be surprised when you go in and search on LinkedIn for hiring posts at the companies you're interested in applying to, how much that can help when you comment on one of those posts. I'm interested in this position, how can I get in touch? Or you can turn on the setting on LinkedIn that allows recruiters to know that you are looking for a position. And that's my last tip that I'll share really quickly is work with a recruiter. So perhaps your school has a program or a career program that helps to get you some opportunities to talk to some of these companies. If you've got a career fair, please go and take full advantage of that. I did not take advantage of those events when I was in school, and I should have. But if you take advantage of those events and you go and you actually meet people, introduce yourself, let them know what you've studied, what you're looking to start with, that is going to help you immensely. You really want to go for volume, I think, when you're starting out, and then narrow it down to some of the opportunities based on any of the interest you may receive back from either recruiters or hiring managers at some of the companies that you meet on these career days. So I hope that those few tips help. There really is a lot more that I could share, but I want to save some time. So make sure you take advantage of those. Those would be my top tips for you. The fifth question is, how do you avoid overwhelm when paying off debt? This is a really great question, and I, of course, have mentioned that going into debt is something we should be avoiding in the first place, especially when it comes to leveling up. I know a lot of us feel the desire to go out there and purchase the nicest bag, the nicest shoes right away, but that's really not what we want to be doing if we're already in debt. So something that I did that really helped me to avoid feeling overwhelmed by our loans was just to put it on a timeline and break down how much we could pay on that timeline. Once you have an end in sight, it becomes a lot less overwhelming because you realize, okay, this is pretty doable for me, and by this date, I'll have this paid off. Now, here's another thing that really helps me to not be overwhelmed is by creating other streams of income. So maybe I've mentioned I've pet sitted before, or I've been selling some of my older clothes that I don't wear anymore on Poshmark, things like that I would do in order to put extra money towards my monthly payment. That helped me to pay off those loans a lot faster than if I had just sat there paying the minimum payment. Another thing that we did was also refinance. When you refinance, you can get a lower interest rate and sometimes maybe even a lower payment. But the biggest thing that you want to make sure you're doing is making those payments on time. Keep it on a timeline. If it helps, put it on a graph. We had this little chart on our office wall that we would color in every time we made a payment. So we would see that we were making progress. And when you feel like you're making progress, that makes such a difference in reducing the amount of overwhelm that you feel. You want to get out of that overwhelming feeling because it can feel like such a weight that you don't move anywhere and you don't make any progress. So anything you can do that makes you feel good, like you're making progress, that's where we want to go. The next question is another career question. What would be your advice to someone just starting out in their career who wants to take full advantage of it? If you are just starting out, I would say taking full advantage of your opportunity to really help and serve your coworkers and your company. That's going to be your main focus. Focus on what your strengths are and build off of those. Don't worry too much about areas that you feel weak in. There are gonna be some times where people will be very understanding if you're just not up to speed quite yet. I would say, of course, spend as much time as you can making sure that you've done your homework and you're not showing up without having done your research on any of the projects you're already being put on and things like that. If the company gives you training, make sure that you do the training. Even if there are some optional trainings, make sure that you take advantage of those. If your company offers a boot camp when they're getting started, make sure that you go to as many of the sessions as possible. For me, I remember that our company, we did a new hire boot camp when I was just getting started, and I attended every session. I wanted to make sure that I got to know every aspect of the company that I could so that I would be knowledgeable and able to show up with that knowledge. I see a lot of people that will skip out on trainings, even if they're online trainings. They'll skip out on those that have been provided to them for free as a way to help them onboard more quickly. And down the line, that can really hurt you. So make sure you take full advantage of any resources that HR, your new hire team offers you. And I think you will really, really be able to start off on the right foot. The next question is, how do you manage to update your knowledge on investing in business? The time that I spend on taking in information that I can use in order to continue with my leveling up journey is usually when I am working out, or I'm cleaning the house, or I might be cooking. Even on weekends when I might take some time to go bike ride to the beach, I am listening to information that is feeding my mind and helping me to grow and level up. I know that this might sound like I never take a break. There are some times that yes, I do take a break and I might watch a show on Netflix, but I generally don't do that a lot. And that's just kind of the reality. If you want to change your life rather quickly, you've got to do some deep work. You've got to sit down and really focus and also use up your time wisely. So if there's anything that I'm doing where it's kind of, very repetitive, not as much of my brain power is required, that's when I'm getting in a podcast or an audiobook or a YouTube video. And I generally don't do that while I'm working really intensely on things, but there's so much time during your day that you don't realize is actually getting spent on things that don't add any value to your life. And so that's one of the reasons why I try not to spend a lot of time on Instagram or Facebook, except for when I'm working on things for clients. I really try to limit the amount of time that I just spend not adding any value to my goals or my focus. So hope that helps. I'm sure you can get creative, and an exercise that I would actually recommend is taking a little notebook and writing down every hour how you spent that time. I did do that. Now that sounds meticulous. I did do that one day while I was actually at work, and you would be surprised how many breaks I took just kind of not being productive doing anything, and that really changed my perspective. So there's a lot of time that you have that you're probably just needing to reuse and be creative with. Now, this is a very interesting question about how do you deal with nasty colleagues? I must say, I don't have very many nasty colleagues because the company that I work for does an amazing job at hiring people who are a really great fit, not just for the job position itself, but also for the company culture. We have just an amazing team of people who helps to find the perfect fits for these roles. But I must say, every once in a while, you come up across a person who is maybe in a bad mood. So I'll mention that one of the things I am really proud of having been successful with really all throughout my 20s is being able to just kind of deal with people and not let other people's personalities or quirks or comments really bother me too much. And at work, I always try to make sure that if someone seems like they're in a negative mood, I just don't even let their negativity come into my space. I will respond with something positive. If they're really in a negative mood, I will maybe just kind of soak that in and move on and try to avoid them the rest of the day. If someone is making nasty comments to you, especially via email, you need to report that to HR, and that needs to be addressed right away. Don't forget that there will be a bonus video over on Instagram that you can watch with a little bit more of the personal details, some juicier questions such as what has given me the most return on investment. There's also another question about how much I spend on beauty and my clothing each month, so I will share that over on Instagram. Make sure you head over there if you have not already. Let's talk a little bit about networking without seeming fake, which I think First of all, don't be afraid to seem fake if you want to try to get out there and network a little bit. Here's the thing. When you're networking, realize that what you bring as value to someone is where you should be focused. So a lot of times networking, that term to me gives off the impression that you're someone just looking to get something out of me, when I think that, remember, it's an exchange. So maybe let's look at it more as relationship building. I like that phrase a little bit better than networking, just because relationship building is the goal. When I network with someone, I don't want to say, oh, I know that person and that's it. I want to build a relationship with them, because that's where the real progress comes from. Some ways that I think you can network without seeming fake is make sure that you let someone know what you are bringing to the table. So if you find out that someone you are interested in building a relationship with has a problem they're looking to solve, for instance, and you know that you have what they need to solve it, you should be presenting what you have to solve their problem to them, and just maybe even giving it to them. I'm not really stating that in a business relationship sort of way, but let's say you may know someone that they could hire to help them with a project that they are working on. You give them their contact information. That's the kind of situation that I'm referring to when you're bringing value. Maybe you are someone who has a wonderful following on Instagram and you meet someone who has a business. You would love to work with this person that has a business on a longer term basis, building a relationship with them. And so maybe you offer them the opportunity to share their product on your social media platforms for just a trial for the first time. So you also need to follow up with these types of interactions. That's how you continue to build the relationship, right? But that's how you go about it without seeming fake, by offering something. Don't always look at it as you introduce yourself, tell someone what you do, and then they're just going to come to you and give you the world, right? We have to make sure that we give value to someone else that we are looking to build that relationship with, and network, if you want to use that term. All right, ladies, so that does it for this Q&A video. I haven't done one of these in a long time here on the channel, so I really enjoyed this more income and career type of Q&A video. Always let me know on Instagram or down in the comments if you have other questions or videos you would like to see from me, experiences, things you're curious about when it comes to sharing my leveling up journey. I really believe that the more women we have living the successful life that they dream about and working together to support one another, the better that our world will be. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.